Okay, today's chapter is about ethics, corporate social responsibility, business ethics. And the question is, what's right and what's wrong? I think you have a question of, people think that ethics isn't going to affect them, that it's only for the big corporate guys like Volkswagen here. But actually, ethics goes all the way up and down the whole company. No matter how big or how small the business is, there's an ethical principle involved in every business. This is one of the important parts of this chapter. Big ethical scrutiny happened in 20 years ago. Enron and WorldCom and Tyco, they were cooking the books. And the problem was that people are investing in these companies and investing worldwide. So if people are cheating at the big corporate level on the books, then what's possible? So we had to reevaluate and strengthen the laws on ethical cheating. And it's not gone away. I don't think it really necessarily ever will. Only recently, the Volkswagen ethics problem, they cheated the emissions. And I think about Wells Fargo Bank and their ethical lapse. They're still in business. So is Volkswagen. My wife's got a Volkswagen car, so we're not doing anything about that. So sometimes these companies get away with it, but I think it's the people, the consumers, that should have the final say on what goes on. So just real quick, there's a good discussion question about something that you've done that has an ethical dilemma. A dilemma is a path, one direction or the other direction. Here's an ethical dilemma. Should I hire somebody who is a single mom in need of work, or a young guy who's qualified but doesn't need the work? I don't know. That's a tough one right there. Those are things that you may find. How about a vendor relationship? You buy from this guy who took you out to dinner, or do you buy from this guy who bought you McDonald's lunch? What should it matter? But those are real things that really happen to us. And we have a question about ethics in school. Ethics in school and business might overlap quite a bit. So the first part about this chapter is distinguishing between the law and what's ethics. Ethics are social morals, and law are what's written up on the books. Of course they overlap and intersect, but sometimes they can be separate. Is it possible to be unethical and still above the law? Absolutely. It happens quite a bit. So do we need more laws? Well, I don't know. We got a lot of laws on the books. I think it's best for people to take ethics into their own heart. Here's a little data about plagiarism. That's an ethical problem too. And 36% of undergraduates change sources or fudge a little bit on the sources. Hey, that happens. Again, this is more common than people might think. Once you start thinking about a real instance in your real life, you'll see that there's ethical choices and dilemmas and possibilities of ethical breach many places, many times, once you start uncovering the surface and looking at it. The next section is about management and how managers should set ethical principles. And I think everybody can understand and realize that it comes from the very top. Top management sets in motion how people are going to react. That's how it works in politics, business, from small business, big business, everything else. The management comes from the top. And once people see that the top is being ethical, then it's easier for them to be ethical. And you can bet that as soon as the very top management people become unethical, the rest falls apart. And it is complete license for anybody to cheat and lie and steal all the way down. So companies put together ethical codes. You know, at Front Range Community College, we have a code of ethics. It's pasted up. It's an orange neon color. It's pasted in every building and classroom, and it's all over the place. And I ask students sometimes, do you know where that is? Do you know what it looks like? We have a code of ethics, and I always joke, well, it's about no spitting and cussing and fighting and stuff like that, but it's it's deeper than that. There's a lot to it. So do you have a rules-based ethic, or do you let people define ethics on their creativity, their values? Do you have people's values, or do you have a bunch of rules that say don't fight, don't kick, don't scream and spit, no cussing? Different types of management allow for different types of ethical principles. Top management have to completely accept the ethical standards that are being handed down. Upper management has to do that. Otherwise, again, it falls apart. Communication must happen. It has to be known throughout the company what these ethical policies are. If communication doesn't happen, what good is it? Nobody knows. And then thirdly, the managers need to help convey this and train people on how that works. Ethical standards would be, what happens if somebody does something wrong? Is there a whistleblower? Is there some outside source that looks in? Most big corporations have outside auditors, outside ethics committees. Corporate boards have ethics people that look inside and see and make sure that they're following ethical standards. You know, that breaching ethical standards can really hurt a company, and they have to be enforced. I think that's what we're seeing here. Next section, the last part of that, is corporate social responsibility, CSR. Know that word, CSR. It's very important, and it's become more and more important for you, the young consumer, and me too. I will shop places that have an ethical principle. And guess who claims to have an ethical policy out there? Every single business out there has an ethical principle. And corporate social responsibility, you think it's just some companies that give away a little bit to poor people and causes and starving in Africa and this and that. No, every single corporation has something. Trust me, I guarantee you can't find one. Go to a website that doesn't have some sort of corporate social responsibility. I'd be amazed. Everyone has it. So everybody's doing it. It's part of what goes around these days. This is what's modern and what's happening these days. So that's going to be it for today's chapter. Thanks very much. That's chapter 4 about ethics.